Get ready, everyone, and you just might survive. Ruben and Jason are here with their X-Men deep dive. Going through all the X-books is their mission, so get ready for the Learned Edition. Things are getting weird in here. Ruben hopes another sword book gets announced this year. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind.
Welcome, all you weirdos, savage champions from every universe, and anyone who gets really mad when somebody breaks your spare pair of reading glasses. It is time to receive your 198th Weird Dose of X, the mutant member of your Weird Science podcast family. I am your increasingly vernal host, Jason, broadcasting to you as always from the Wrong Turn studio, perched high atop stately Weird Science Manor. And joining me today while fishing for sharks off the coast of Manhattan is my pal Ruben. Hey Ruben, how the heck are you today?
Doing good.
Glad to hear it. It is increasingly vernal here, which of course means it's getting much more springtime.
Learned Edition.
We got birds nesting in the backyard. We got the flowers blooming. It's looking pretty good here. How are things over on the other coast?
Yeah, we had a fantastic weekend. It was bright, no clouds in the sky, around 70 to maybe 75. This is sort of peak weather time for us. Today it's cloudy and overcast, but I think we've kind of turned the corner where it's going to alternate like this and that each and every other day. I hope it's pretty good because my wife is taking our older daughter camping with the Girl Scouts.
Oh, nice.
Over the weekend, and I do not want to hear that they had a miserable time.
Yeah. Good luck to them. So you get to be home with the younger kid. That's always nice too, to have a little one-on-one time.
Yeah, the one that has like extreme issues with me.
Well, that's
she's a sweetheart, but she's extremely stubborn. And for example, yesterday we had a park play date, and it was about a half mile from our house. So I was like, okay, we're going to walk there. And she was like sitting in the car. She's like, I'm not walking, right? Like refusing, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Normally I would just try to convince her, but I'm finally starting to learn that there's like no hope for that. So I just closed the door and laid in the front yard for 15 minutes until she realized I wasn't going to budge and drive her. And she got out of the car and she was fine. And
yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is the correct analogy, but I always thought to myself, you don't negotiate with terrorists, right?
Exactly.
There's just some people were negotiating, arguing. When you hear some parents just arguing with their little kids,
yeah,
that's not helping anybody. Just don't do it.
Yeah, my wife has to. I just get triggered. My wife is always like, "You're arguing with a 5-year-old," and I'm like, "Okay, that's a point."
Whenever you find yourself arguing with a 5-year-old, something's gone wrong. And we've all done it. All parents been there. We're just trying to have an intellectual argument with someone, either a literal 5-year-old or sometimes on the internet a figurative 5-year-old. And you realize, we're not really having the same conversation here. Yeah. I'm just wasting my time.
Yeah. I was thinking I might do since they're going camping, we might do the backyard camping to try to do like a parallel thing. We'll see. I'll report back next week what happens.
Good luck with that. My older daughter is coming home this week from her semester abroad in Costa Rica, so that's exciting. Hoping to hear some more of the cool things she's seen.
Yeah.
And my younger daughter is headed into finals period at college, but she's also she's on the sailing team, so she goes to regattas. And Ruben, we are not regatta people. I do not come from a regatta background. So to have her
it's Rhode Island. I just assume that everybody has a yacht.
I'm originally from Jersey, and my wife's from Pittsburgh. So there are lots of people with boats here. But the sailing thing is new to this generation. So she's somehow going on to some nationals team sailing regatta during finals. And I'm like, boy, you're a smart kid. I hope you got your priorities all straightened out. I guess we'll see how the grades work out. If all the grades are good, then fantastic. And if not, then, well,
reconsider for next time.
I trust her like 95%. Any kid in college can screw things up. So wishing her well, wishing her good luck at the finals and at the regatta, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But
I do have another story. It just came to mind.
Oh, come more.
This is super important, and I'm super excited about this.
That's what this podcast is all about. People turn to us for child-driven stories.
Yeah. No, and I need people to give me some advice. So get a Slack subscription and message me on this.
Tell everyone how to raise his offspring. Yeah.
Yeah. So this weekend was the school auction fundraiser, and every year for the last 3 years there have been Disney passes in the auction, and they go up on the silent auction, right? So if you don't know what that means, is there's a piece of paper, you've got like an hour, and there are increasing bids that you can make. So you write down your bid number on there. And if somebody
there's a bunch of things all being auctioned at the same time. There's a piece of paper for each one, and if you want to beat the previous bid, you can write down your name and how much more than the previous bid.
Yes.
And then at the end of the hour, whoever pledged the most buys it for that inflated price.
Yeah. And the people that offer those tickets are family friends of ours. So my wife's always just like, just ask them for the tickets. Like they would probably just give them to you. But I have too much pride. So I'm not going to, we can afford tickets. So it's just like, and it's for a good cause, right? What ends up happening is we lose this bid, and then we end up just making a big cash bid or donation to the school. And I'm always like, I don't feel bad doing that, but I would much rather, I feel like a lot better doing that and also walking away with a pair of Disney tickets.
Okay. So rationalize that a little more. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, this year we got there a little bit late, and the auction was closing in like 15 minutes. And I was freaking out because I couldn't find the stupid thing with the tickets. I'm like, I know they're here. They're like, you need to go talk to management, like find somebody to like take you to the ticket sign up, right? I'm like, I'm gonna feel super lame just being like, I have to have these tickets, like find me the placard where I sign up. Anyway, so we find it. There's a few like preliminary bids. I'm like, I'm gonna go big this year. Like my mistake in the last few years is just going too low. So I jump like a few lines to like up the ante.
Okay, just whip out that big old wallet and put it right there on the table. I see.
Yeah. And then and I'm still like, I'm not going like over the market value, just to be clear, but I'm just trying to like scare people away.
$1 million. The whole crowd goes, ooh.
Yeah, no. But anyway, so I jump ahead, and then I come back like during the countdown with like 30 seconds left, right? And somebody has outbid me, and I'm like, what the F?
You got sniped.
Yeah. So as they're counting it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be like a total asshole. And I just stood there for 30 seconds until it got to 1, and then I scribbled my bid number. As like all these people were standing there around me, I'm like, either they're going to ask me to move, or I'm just going to win this way. And I went that way.
You were victorious?
Yes, I was victorious. But
congratulations.
Yeah. As soon as I did it, though, I stepped away. Somebody walked up and they like scribbled something on it. And I was like, oh shit. Like,
how dare you?
I was about to yell. I was about to be like, you can't do that. They called time. And this is like also like a Catholic, school. So I'm like trying to be polite and not like a total ass. But anyways, it turned out that I was the person just recording the winning bid. But I was like so pissed. I was so angry. I was like, they did it to me again.
Well, congratulations. And frankly, you couldn't pay me enough to take kids to Disney World, but that's just my personality. But
I'm going to learn that. The last time I went to Disney was 10 years ago without kids. So I'm probably going to realize, like, what have I done to myself? But I had a lot of fun the last time I was there.
Privilege. Well, that's good. Well, good luck with that.
We're doing that for their birthdays. That's the plan.
Speaking of things that we hope are more fun than we think they're going to be, we read some comic books this week. Hey, that was a transition.
That's a good one, yeah.
We have 4 books to talk about today. Probably the big book of the week is Cyclops #3. And then we're going to talk about Wolverine #19, which the Aped website says is going to be a collector's item. So make sure you have those packed away. And then we'll finish up with some quicker hits on Rogue #4 and Wade Wilson Deadpool #3. Are you ready to jump into these actual comic books?
Sure.
I don't see a ding sound, so I think I got to go with... Actually, it's pretty fitting because we're going to talk about... I don't know what Cyclops' optic blast sound like, but that's what I'm going to hear from now on. This is Cyclops #3, Seeing Red Part 3, the anti-penultimate issue of this 5-part miniseries, written by Alex Pagnadel, art by Roger Antonio, colors by First Fuentes Sujo, and letters by Joe Caramagna.
Can I say something up front?
Please do.
I want to apologize to Mr. Pagnadel for doubting him. I'm back on board. He's won me over. I wasn't so sold on this, but I'm sold on it now. I really enjoyed it. So
Cool.
I should not have doubted. I should have subscribed early and just trusted the process, but I've gone back and subscribed.
It's been good. It was a little bit slower. This is the issue that really shows off Cyclops as, badass of badasses, which I'm sure Scott Summers' friends were waiting for, and here it is. But first, let's remember where we are. Donald Pierce has created a brand new set of loser Reaver cyborgs. They've captured some young mutant kids and are using them to mine some unspecified valuable metal.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Summers, that's Cyclops to you and me, this is a weird coincidence. He just happened to be flying over the site of this mining operation. One of the Reavers panicked, shot down his jet. Scott survived the crash, but his visor did not, which is a problem if whenever you open your eyes, you shoot a giant beam of punching directly wherever you look.
Mm-hmm.
He's joined up forces, though, with this young girl named May, who was one of these mutants who was being forced to mine, but has now escaped, so they're kind of working together. The issue starts with some slower, more conversational scenes, but then gets to the action in a big way in the second half. So we start off back at those mines with a brief scene to remind us of what the stakes are. One of those mutant teens who's being forced to work there, his name is Micah, I believe, he got fed up and tried to escape, but his phasing power gave up when he was only part way through the rocks, so he is very dead now. Pierce and the Reavers talk about getting one of the other mutants to, quote, scrape him off before he starts to stink, which is gross.
Yes.
Something interesting in the art here, Micah's corpse is holding what must be a small chunk of this metal. It's shaped like a small bar. It reminds me of the gold-pressed latinum in DS9 for all you Star Trek geeks out there. It's glowing very brightly and with like a rainbow tinge around the edge of the glow. I still don't know what the stuff is, and Pactadel is very clearly intentionally not telling us. I am kind of curious. Any guesses here? Any speculations based on this new visual information?
No clue.
Nothing at all. I don't know if it's going to be something vibranium related. I don't think it's going to be
vibranium. I don't think it'll be vibranium,
but it doesn't make any sense to be Mysterium.
Yeah, it can't be Mysterium because that came from that other dimension, right? Like
we needed like 18 different teleporting gravity and reality distorting mutants to get there. So if there was just some under the ground in Canada, that'd be like, oh, that was a waste of time.
Yeah, it was almost insinuated that Mysterium came from the White Hot Room, but yeah, so I don't see how this could be Mysterium. I think it might just be something totally new. Unobtainium.
Unobtainium. It's being specifically not told to us, which is it's a way of making me intrigued about something, and I'm curious. I hope it pays off. Our next scene, we jump to the site of another corpse. This is the corpse of the Reaver Endzone. We saw him injured in a fight with the Cyclops last issue, and then his buddy and fellow Reaver Tearjerker found him, finished him off, and stripped various bits of useful tech off of his friend. The body has been found by several vultures who are doing to the fleshy bits what Tearjerker did to the techno bits. Kind of nicely ironic there. And now his corpse has also been found by the one, I think the only female Reaver, and not Endzone. I got my Reaver names wrong. Anyway, we got a dead Reaver, and we got the Lady Reaver who finds the dead Reaver.
Lady Reaver.
I think the Lady Reaver's name is Endzone.
No, it's Blitz Tempo.
Blitz Tempo. Okay.
It's the one where I thought she was two Reavers because I don't know why you would call somebody Blitz Tempo instead of just Blitz or Tempo.
Go with Blitz Tempo. She finds the dead guy, reports the findings back to Chief Reaver Donald Pierce. The dead guy, though, recorded a message before he died saying, Tearjerker did this to me. So they wanted to play it off like, oh, he just died of his injuries from his fight with Cyclops, but everybody now knows that Tearjerker is getting a little more aggro than he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And of course, we know this is the way the Reavers are going to lose. This is the very standard way for a group of villains to lose to a less powerful hero or group of heroes, is that the villains fight amongst themselves.
Yes.
We've seen it on Justice League of America. We've seen it in the event. It's just a very classic thing to happen. Okay, third scene. This is a conversation between Cyclops and that kid May as they head towards the site of the crashed Quinjet, where Cyclops thinks he might have stashed a spare pair of spectacles. As someone who wears glasses and loses glasses, I can certainly sympathize with, maybe I left it in the car. I think that all the time. Is it in the couch? Is it in the car?
Yes.
Whenever I tell my wife I'm missing something, she just starts naming locations. Like, that's helpful. Like the state of Montana exists. Have you checked there? Dear, that's not helping. Yeah. But they think it's going to be in the Quinjet. We learned that May is pretty bitter about having missed out on Krakoa. She wanted to immigrate there. Her parents wouldn't let her. And I always like this when we get people talking about how Krakoa really was a thing and how different mutants are reacting to it, how different humans are reacting to it, I like the fact that we're not just pretending it didn't happen. So I really enjoy that little bit of continuity.
Yeah, and I like the idea that, literally not everybody was on Krakoa, and you'd have different reactions to it. And I kind of like this idea of like her just being annoyed that she didn't get a chance to get there, that they effed it up before she had a chance to go.
And last issue, she was annoyed that Krakoa kind of existed at all because she said, well, that made people on the rest of humans angry at mutants and made life tougher for me. So this realistic feeling torn in very different ways about Krakoa feels very real to me in a human kind of way. So good work there.
Yeah, there was an amusement park in like the 50s in Seattle. And all that's left of it now is like there's a chain link fence that was near my old house that has like a placard on the chain link fence, like describing the amusement park. And I feel this way. I feel this way about the people that squandered that because like, oh man, it'd be so cool to have this in Seattle still.
Very similar. Rhode Island had Rocky Point Amusement Park from like Civil War time until like 5 years before I moved here.
Yep.
So you can go there and walk around. You can kind of see like the ruins of this old amusement park, but never been there when it was open. So here in the comic book, we now pause for a brief medical crisis as Cyclops discovers that he still has a giant chunk of wood embedded in his kidney.
Yeah. And we had seen that in the last issue.
Yes. And we had talked about how the art was a little clunky in that these giant pieces of wood hitting Scott in his back should have basically killed him. And now we see him first. He goes from walking around being perfectly fine to falling over, vomiting blood with basically a tree in his back in one panel.
It's comics, man.
It's comics.
I got over it.
If this was like Wolverine or Deadpool, somebody with any kind of a healing factor, sure. It's Cyclops' whole thing is he's a tough human, basically, but with his one eye power, plus, of course, his other, strategic and person kind of abilities. But he's not superhuman strength, durability. So I get what they're doing here. The point of this scene is to move May's arc forward. That is the goal.
Mm-hmm.
May is immune with some unquantified, not yet specified level of super strength, but that strength goes away really quickly when she's scared or stressed out. So Scott, on the ground vomiting blood, with one kidney left, he gives May a double quick lesson in the Red Triangle Protocol.
Yes, I love that.
For people who don't remember,
this is my favorite thing in recent stupid like X-Men lore is Red Triangle Protocol.
So the idea here is it's a way of that the mutants have been taught by Professor X to resist psychic attacks.
And which you need to do because there's like a bajillion psychics in the annals of evil mutants.
Including Charles himself. So you're supposed to picture the words resist with those letters arranged in a red triangle, and that's a way of focusing, centering yourself, and surely that the triangle itself isn't the point, it's the mental state you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
So May does the thing, she regains her strength, and she's able to pop that giant chunk of wood out of Scott's back, and then there's like a couple of words about, I've got some sort of a coagulant, sealant, some Bondo, basically put it on my back, I'll be fine.
Yeah. And I like the way, that part's goofy, right? But it's comics, and they've always got weird tech. But just back to the Red Triangle thing one last time, it's very similar to what they teach people with panic attacks to deal with. And I like how it's spelled out a little bit more here, how it's like different steps and different visualization elements. And it seems almost believable. I'm going to try the Red Triangle Protocol next time I'm going to do public speaking.
Good luck with that. Now, there's some difference of opinion about this I've seen online because Red Triangle Protocol is defending against a psychic attack, and Scott does tell her, you were kind of under psychic attack from yourself.
Yeah.
Which, I guess I can go with it, but it does kind of dilute the whole psychic attack concept a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, of course, just to remind people, the big time we've seen this used before was at the 2023 Hellfire Gala, where Charles Xavier ordered everybody to go through these gates that were supposed to go to Mars, but actually sent them to the White Hot Room. And some characters were able to use this technique to not go through the gate. So if you're wondering, hey, when did I see that before? 2023 Hellfire Gala was the big one, but it goes back further than that to I think the first time was in a 2016 U.S. Avengers book, of all things, by Al Ewing.
This is like a recent invention that Al Ewing came up with?
As far as I can tell, 2016, so 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
Is that recent or not? It's all relative. But
I need to go back and slab that issue. I love that idea.
I bet that issue got more expensive once it was used in the Hellfire Gala. I expect that happened. So Scott, everybody's fine. Scott lost. He lost so much blood that we can see people's reflections in the pools of blood. Again, I think there should be more of a big deal, but he's still basically fine. Okay, now on to the final scene of the issue, an action scene that takes up about half the number of pages of the whole issue. Scott and May arrive at the site of the Quinjet crash, which is where Scott's been trying to get to since the start of issue 2, but now he's suddenly wary and nervous. He senses a trap. And of course, he's right. Tearjerker is hiding in the wreckage, waiting for them. We get some explosions, we get some hand-to-hand combat. Tearjerker does have Scott's backup glasses, but he crushes them to bits right there where Scott he can't see him do it, but he can hear him do it.
Yeah.
Oh well. Meanwhile, the other Reaver has captured May, who was trying to flee the scene. Scott reminds May to do the red triangle thing. May does so, and then she wants to escape from being held by her hair, so she punches that Reaver and punches right the hell through her, just clear on through her torso.
Yeah.
Very surprising to May, to us, to Endzone. That Reaver now appears to be incredibly dead, which naturally freaks May out. What did you think of May's little situation here?
When she accidentally punched through his stomach.
Just the whole thing. Really, Ruben, I'm trying to cough and drink some tea, so I need you to talk about this for a second.
Now, I like when they do stuff like this because not everybody should be just very casually cool with killing people, even people that are out to get you. And so this idea of her, kind of taking direction from Scott and it's screwing up at her killing somebody, I could see her being very hostile and emotionally angry about that kind of situation.
Yeah, I think it adds to her character where she's been a mutant, but she's basically lived a more or less normal life until she was just recently kidnapped. So This whole adventuring thing is brand new to her. So even though she won the fight, she's got to freak out.
Yeah.
So she runs off, more freaked out than ever. She gets grabbed by Donald Pierce, and that's the last we see of May this issue. Obviously going to be very important going forward. Now, this is a really cool bit that happens with Cyclops. We've talked about how I don't really understand how his power works. We know that the ruby quartz glasses block his power. So if he's wearing these glasses, he can look around, no problem. I get that. Now he has and if he closes his eyes, it's fine because his eyes block his eye beams. Fine with that too. But he was wearing a blindfold. And if he opens his eyes under the blindfold, you'd think it would be a fire hose at a piece of tissue paper. It should just blast right on through.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what the blindfold was doing. And here we get a panel of the eye beams burning through that blindfold and just optic beaming the living crap out of Tearjerker and also removing what looks like a pretty darn big chunk of the nearby mountain, which makes Scott look to be really super powerful, super cool, nifty scene. So were his eyes closed under the blindfold the whole time? What was the point of the blindfold?
I think so. I mean, it's kind of easier to keep your eyes closed when you've got something on your face. It definitely seems like he opened his eyes under the blindfold.
I suppose so. Is that just a reminder, leaving yourself a note, by the way, don't open your eyes? It's a reminder not to do that, like a piece of string on your finger?
Yeah. You've done piñata and stuff, right?
Not recently, but okay.
At some point in your life.
Sure.
I feel like when I had the blindfold on, there's when you're trying to peek out from underneath the blindfold, you might do it that way. There's the other way where it's you're a good boy and you actually keep your eyes closed while it's blindfolded.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just felt for me, I wouldn't naturally open my eyes under a blindfold because it feels weird to have your eyes up against fabric.
I obviously the real answer is because it's a comic book and we wanted a visual indication that he couldn't use his power, and a blindfold just sells that a lot better than him just walking around with his eyes closed for 5 issues. Yeah. So that's really what it is. I'm okay with that. It just makes me wonder.
Yeah.
So the very last bit is Tearjerker talking to Scott, admitting defeat, asking for help. He thinks he can rely on Scott's decency as a superhero to help him out. Scott's not hearing that, though. He says, not me. I'm a soldier. You're thinking of the guy with the claws.
Yeah,
which
I
is a
laughed
cool
about that.
line. I don't know if Wolverine is necessarily the guy having mercy on a defeated opponent either. I had to pick somebody. If we were in DC, you'd be thinking of the guy with the red cape. That would work. I don't know what the answer is for X-Men.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought because I do think Wolverine does have a code. It would I would think it would depend on, are you catching him in his berserker rage, or are you catching him after he feels like when he's trying to be who he's trying to be?
Could be. It's a cool scene. It lets Scott get off some badass lines, which is fine.
Yeah. I kind of think that this guy would just get shredded by Wolverine and there would not be an opportunity to trash talk him at the end.
Right, like maybe put him out of his misery kind of moment for Wolverine is what I would expect more than, I'll actually bring you to the cyborg hospital situation.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I always like this. I like this side of Cyclops where he's a little bit more interesting than just like a straight goody-goody. And I think this is consistent with what he's done some stuff over like the last 20 to 30 years. I don't think he's just the nice guy superhero that maybe he was in his original characterization.
When he's pushed or when he's made a decision that he has to act in a certain way, he can be ruthless in carrying out what he's decided to carry out.
Yes.
So what he decides here is, speaking of carrying out things, he's going to carry around pieces of this cyborg body, basically all the pieces, including the piece that's currently talking to him.
Yeah.
I guess because he thinks they'll be useful in the final fight against Pierce.
Yeah.
So as this issue ends, we do appear headed for that battle. Pierce has May and all those other kids. Cyclops has the various bits of Tearjerker. 2 issues remain for this to play out. So yeah, for me, this was clearly the best X issue of the week. Lots of fun things to talk about. The red triangle bit, the how does Cyclops' powers work, some fun character moments. I mean, we can see the character of the Reavers and why they're going to lose. We got the character of Scott and of May. They feel like real people acting in a very tough, strange situation. I enjoyed that. Scott gets to be a total badass, and we get to see that if he ever did just let loose with that optic blast power, it's not just, a laser beam going pew, pew, pew. I'm not going to push the button because that means we're on to the next book. It's not just a little laser beam. He could just destroy multiple counties. He's that dangerous.
Yeah.
And we get to see that most of the time he is holding back so much from what he could actually be that it kind of adds a different texture to the scenes when he's not using this power.
Yeah, agreed.
The art is really strong. The eye blast looks amazing. The people look like they're experiencing real emotions and have real situations. The whole chunk of wood in the back thing still bugs me a little bit, but not too much. I'm going to give this, call it an 8.3 out of 10. How about you, Ruben?
Yeah, I really like this one, so I'm just going to go straight A5, but I think we're in the same ballpark. It was, I don't know. I do think that Scott is limited and hindered significantly, and it's kind of cool to see him finding a way to still just kind of push his way through it. And I do like the goofball villains that are, they probably could have won if they had just not been at each other's throats. I know it's a trope, but
they could have won if they just didn't shoot down the superhero, or not actually superhero, the soldier flying over them in the first book. But that's why the book happens. We got to give them one coincidence to let the story get started.
Yeah, and it's been consistent, right? Like they were bickering with each other like from the beginning, and not loyal to each other. So it's not like this is out of the blue. I feel like this is consistent with what we've seen.
And all these Reavers are, as usual, just kind of regular human losers who volunteered for the surgery because they had no other prospects. So again, it makes sense for where they've been and who they are. Let's move on to our next book, which is Wolverine number 19, Legacy number 411, Wisdom and War. Written by Saladin Ahmed, art by Martin Kokolo, colors by Jesus Abertov, and letters by Corey Pettit. So Logan and Silver Sable had been protecting a group of Neo-Knorlocks when the Adamantine returned for a second round. Adamantine is a sentient, natural, magical metal that just hates adamantium.
He hates these cans! Stay away from the cans!
Stay away from the adamantium cans, for God's sake. The first time it attacked Wolverine, it used Romulus as its host, but now it's using Hercules because Hercules had an adamantium club, and that makes it okay.
Yeah.
So the fight between Logan and Herc was put to a literal stop by Athena, who arrives and freezes them both in place, and that, Ruben, is where we pick up our story. So what do we need to know now?
Yes. Well, and very importantly, you have to flag that in the last issue, Hercules' adamantine club was being swung at Logan, and he was punching back at it, and his claws shattered the adamantine club.
That
so keep
is
in
what
mind,
we saw happen on page, yes.
We have seen that the adamantium claws are completely able to punch through adamantine.
That is a proven fact in the 616 universe that will never be gainsaid, never be contradicted.
No.
For sure.
No, especially not by the same writer that told us that last issue.
Especially when on page 1 of this, it says Wolverine, whose adamantium claws cannot shatter. So we know that as a fact, being told in this book, the claws, whatever the claws are going to do, they sure as shit are not going to shatter. Part of my alliteration.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So we start the issue. We've got Athena. She's got Logan and Hercules kind of suspended in timeout as she talks shit at them, just basically saying, you guys are dumb. You were, Hercules, how did you let yourself get controlled by the adamantine? And Logan, like, you should know better if you're going to fight with some guy who's at times been your friend. Like, take the fight elsewhere, right? Like, don't just fight in the middle of town and trash everything.
And he was shown last issue as getting a little bit out of control, a little towards the berserker, I just want to fight, I'm not really in control of myself, bloodlust, kind of a moment.
Yeah. And I guess even though they're frozen, they can kind of hear what she's saying because it calms them both down. And so then she sets them down and, they kind of feel bad for themselves. And, the townsfolk start talking trash about Logan about how he's like wrecked their village.
Fair enough.
Which I was like, I don't know, man. Like, they knocked over your steel drum that you had fire in. Like, you could just kind of set that back up.
I mean, come on. There were like cabins there. It was, probably call it a shanty town, but there were places you could go inside. Yeah. And given that we are in northwestern Canada, I'm sure it's a lovely place in, I don't know, June, July. But as soon as it starts to get, September, October, it's probably going to be a little nippy up there, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, don't they have that kid that can repair the village in like 2 seconds with its mutant power?
Yeah, we don't know how strong it is. We don't know if he can go from like scrap of broken sticks to,
okay,
Marriott, Hilton level, or if it's just, well, I can patch up some drywall.
Yeah, that's his power. I misunderstood. It's only capable of like fixing a 2-inch by 2-inch hole.
Only a few hours a day because he's union. Go ahead.
Yeah. And anyways, there's a lot of shade that's thrown at him. There's some people that kind of defend him. And then he makes this bold statement about how, no, he needs to like stay and make up for his mistake. So I guess he thinks he's critical to the rebuilding efforts. But then Athena starts saying, hey, dummy, like adamantine's out there. It's a big threat. And more people are going to die if you sit here spending time like rebuilding. Leave it to the plebes to put their shantytown back together. You don't need to do that.
And also, the reason Hercules adamantine arrived here was to get Logan. Right?
Yeah, so it'll be back, basically.
He can help defend them from Department H, but so can Silver Sable. And on net, they'll be safer with him not here.
Yeah. So then basically Athena says it's going to take 2 heroes working together to defeat the adamantine. And so I guess Hercules decides that he's the other hero. And then Athena opens a teleportation portal straight to the adamantine.
Let's pause there for a second because something I think important happens before that. Because Athena says that Logan is that every he says, here's a direct quote, in every reality, one here in bold, savage champion embodies these 3 natures in a single soul. Those 3 natures being man, beast, and metal. We have this one pretty cool panel with Athena's head in the middle and then 3 images around her of Wolverine doing the same pose. One dressed as a Natalie dressed man in the city for man. One being a possibly naked guy in the woods with wolves for beast. And then for metal, we get like this technology looking background.
Yeah.
So I guess the idea, she's linking metal to technology in this case, and that he is like this reality's chosen one in a certain sense. I don't think I like that idea. Saladin Ahmed's trying to give Logan this new title, this new importance.
Yeah.
I kind of like him as just an angry little dude with, healing powers and a long complicated history. I don't think I need him to be the chosen one.
Yeah, well, it conflicts with every other comic. It feels like every comic is like, oh, you're the chosen one, right? Like Spider-Man and his whole like web of life.
Right. Anything with a
Type
spider
thing.
totem, I don't need.
Yeah,
Even
a really
in
bad
DC
trope they've
where-
been doing
In
lately.
DC, like Superman, like, oh, Superman is the power of good in this whole universe. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I want him to be the last son of Krypton, who's doing, who's being a really super guy, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I don't need him to be the key to reality. I think it's just too much. But that is what Saladin Ahmed wants us to take away from here, and that's reason 1A why this is supposed to be a collector's item, because we now see that Logan is the Savage Champion. So teleport off to this place where Adamantine is.
Yeah. So they kind of arrive slightly before they get there. We see that the location where the Adamantine is on an ocean ship, like ocean carrier ship on the South China Sea with a big container vessel ship.
Ocean? I think it's just like a port facility. I think it's on land, but out of port. But yeah, it's some weapons manufacturing facility. And Adamantine goes there because he thinks, oh, I'm all about the weapons. This must be the place where they're going to worship me and kiss my shiny metal ass.
Yeah. So he fights some goons, some military security force.
Some basic poor Chinese soldier people.
Yeah, and kills them. And then, after he gets through killing all those people, the portals open and Logan and Hercules jump out. They get into a big fight with the Adamantine.
And Logan speaks Mandarin, which kind of surprised me. I know he's been around forever. You can make him speak whatever you want. I know he speaks Japanese. It kind of surprised me that he could speak Mandarin. I didn't look up to see if that's been established in the past. But if you have a list of languages Logan can speak, add Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah, there's probably like a seminal run that we don't know about where he's like 20 issues where he was in China, and it
probably
would have made sense. But in any event, so he does that. Hercules kind of gets tossed around because he doesn't really have a weapon. He's just kind of big and strong. And
Hercules' job in this fight is to make the Adamantine look super strong by being thrown around. Again, I always say that it's like Worf in the Next Generation. Whenever they wanted to show a new villain being really strong, they'd have that villain kick Worf's ass. So Worf was always losing fights, even though he was supposed to be so strong.
Yeah. So I didn't write this down in my notes, but it's sort of, it's several pages of a fight scene. And I don't remember exactly if the Adamantine's about to kill Hercules and then Wolverine jumps in, or if Hercules was like holding the Adamantine and then got knocked away and then Wolverine jumps in. But in any event, Hercules is sort of knocked out, and Wolverine is like, really pissed off for some reason because he's Wolverine, I guess. And he jumps in and he tries to cut the Adamantine, and shockingly, quote unquote, not shocking at all since we've had this spoiled in the spoilers for a while, but his right claw like just shatters.
Right, he tries to stab the Adamantine right through the chest, and I'm not really so. This is the Adamantine, like I guess its native form. We've usually seen it merged with either Romulus or Hercules or somebody else, like almost like possessing a body.
Right.
But this is just, it's like a big old gold-looking suit of armor with a Aquaman-style trident.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Logan thinks he's stabbing, right? Because it's not like there are vital organs in any particular place. It's just
it's just a suit of armor. Yeah.
So I'm not sure I don't know how he thinks he's going to defeat this thing. It's got glowy eyes, the rest. So I would go for the eyes myself because they're glowy. But
I just think he thought it was going to explode like Hercules' mallet exploded.
Probably.
So maybe there's a hairline fracture in his claws from when he hit the mallet. Maybe that's what's going on here.
Maybe we go back and zoom in on the art and we'll see a little microfracture. That could be it. But he tries to basically do the full-on 3 claws through the chest, and it just shatters into a zillion pieces.
Yeah. So then the Adamantine grabs him, and then it forms its own like Wolverine claw in its hand, and it like punches him through the chest or heart or somewhere in the abdomen. It can reshape itself like a shiny gold symbiote, basically. Yeah. And so the final scene is, a seemingly defeated Wolverine, maybe dead Wolverine, and a defeated Hercules kind of
he's definitely dead. This is the end of the series. You'll never hear from Wolverine again.
That's why it's a collector's issue.
That's why it's a collector's item, because it is the last Wolverine issue.
Yes.
It's like what they did with The Walking Dead, where they solicited issues that were not real so that people would be surprised when it ended. Yes. That's what happened here, folks. No more Wolverine. It's done.
Yeah. Except for the other Way of Laura Kinney. The series will continue with Laura Kinney and Gabby.
She doesn't count.
Oh my God.
Oh, I just got canceled. Sorry. Well, yeah, that was the story. So lots of fighting. We got a brand new title for Logan, and as has been teased and solicits, he definitely shatters his claws.
Yeah, I don't really see how that change is like really exciting, or this is what going to spin out like 1,000 stories. We had so many original stories just waiting for Wolverine to only have one claw.
So let's skip over however he's going to defeat the adamantine, because he's going to defeat the adamantine somehow.
Yeah,
the bone claws are going to grow back.
Yeah.
So will he have one hand with bone claws, one hand with adamantine claws?
Yeah.
Are they going to, adamantium claws? Are they going to find another way to recoat those claws with adamantium? I'm sure Beast can figure something out. I'm sure he's got some adamantium stored away, left over from when he had a bunch of it on Krakoa.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like this is going to be a long-term change, but who knows? The next issue says, Rise of the Savage Champions, plural. So was this going to be a multiversal thing with Savage Champions from other realities? Who the hell knows? I don't. But it does feel like this is Saladin Ahmed trying to elevate his run by being, this is the one that the Savage Champions thing happened in. This is the one where he broke his claws. And I don't think he's really earning that level of, I gotta have it. It's just kind of a pretty basic Wolverine story. And yes. I know some folks in Slack are enjoying it more than we are, but for me, it's maybe a 6 out of 10. It's fine. It's not awful, but it feels like it's trying to be bigger than it's actually achieving. So in that sense, it feels like a failure.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I'm in the boat with you, like 6 out of 10. It's not bad as a fine Wolverine story, but it feels like it thinks it's a bigger deal than it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think in 5 years anybody's going to be like, oh my God, do you remember the adamantine?
Yeah, this is not going to go next to like the Weapon X story that people always look back at. It's just one more Wolverine story that I think is going to blend in with all the others. Okay, let us move on now to Rogue number 4 of 5, the penultimate issue of this miniseries. It is written by Erica Schultz, art this time by Jim Toe, replacing Luigi Zagaria, who had drawn the first 3 issues. Bugs me when you can't even have the same artist through a 5-issue miniseries that feels like a bait and switch, but we're used to it by now. Yeah. Colors are still by Espen Grundetjern. Letters are still by Ariana Mayer. So, Ruben, this book has been kind of crawling along. It all started off when Rogue saw this dude in a wheelchair with a bad case of Joker scars on his face, and she had this strange deja vu feeling that she'd seen him before. So we've then had 3.5 issues of her trying to track down that story. She knows that he's connected to her past Brotherhood of Evil Mutants time, and also to something called Project Pegasus. At the end of the last issue, for very little reason, Rogue went to visit the villain Constrictor, Frank Payne, who was now running a corporation. Yada yada, fight scene, you're caught up. So this issue continues that contrived fight scene, with Rogue's ability to use absorbed powers just coming and going whenever the plot requires them to do so. She flies off, because she can fly again now. She accidentally almost murders a bunch of people in a helicopter. She rescues the helicopter. The damage is pretty good. The people are okay, so I guess that makes her a hero, even though it was her own fault. The fight with Constrictor had caused some bad mutant public relations, so now Rogue agrees to an on-camera interview with the news people she just nearly murdered, so that's all okay too. Then at the end of the issue, Rogue goes into an unfinished construction site, meditates, and then conveniently remembers everything she's been trying to remember. What happened was, and it's exactly what I said it was going to be, which isn't always the case, but I'm going to take the credit here. She had accidentally absorbed Sabretooth's powers and also his personality, and she herself then caused all of security guard John Stelton's wounds, basically ruining his life. I think he lost some of it. He lost his legs at the knees, his face is all messed up, he's psychologically tortured, and it is all her fault. We do continue to get scenes of John Stelton popping up in this issue. His life is a mess. He's married, but he's in counseling, and it's not going great. He then sees Rogue being interviewed on TV, and it just brings back all that trauma. He is terrified that Rogue is going to return and finish killing him off, and we end with him sitting up all night, holding a shotgun, waiting for Rogue to come murder him. So to give this book some credit, it does take Rogue's villainous past seriously, which we don't see a lot of lately, because she is just one of the top heroes, and we keep focusing on, oh, she's a hero, hero, hero. She did some really bad stuff, caused some real harm, and just being a hero doesn't erase that. So I give Schultz credit for taking that seriously. But we didn't need 4 issues of wandering around in pointless fight scenes for Rogue just to remember what she was trying to remember. That's pretty lame. This is not 4 issues worth of story, although people have paid for 4 issues worth of story. This maybe should have been a 2-shot as far as how much story is on here.
Yeah, especially because the twist was not, it was like just the only thing that could possibly have happened.
Yeah. Nothing that happened in these first 4 issues led up to the revelation. It didn't develop to here. It was just, we need to fill 4 issues with fighting, and then, oh, by the way, I remembered.
Yeah.
Very lame.
As soon as they were like, Rogue, you actually were the one that injured this guy. It was like, okay, well then clearly she
amends to make.
Sabretooth's powers and scratched him up, and now I got to make right with him. It's like, okay, great.
I am curious how this is going to end, because it has to be with her apologizing, and again, she can't make it right. She can't. We're not on Krakoa anymore. She can't give him a new body. So curious to see how it happens.
She could get Forge in there. He can build some arms and legs for this guy. You could get some better stuff for him than what he's got.
Do you think that's going to be the actual ending, to have some techno appendages and things here? That's not the dumbest idea.
I do not think that's the ending, but that's what I'd want if I were this guy. You could fix him up. There's a lot of people who've had some parts taken off of them.
Yeah, I can see that. That could be a pretty decent ending. Again, depending on how you have to make it dramatic and interesting, how they actually meet and how he reacts to her, how she reacts to him. There's a possible okay story there. We just didn't need this much to get there. The art
definitely padded.
The art is fine. It tells a story. It's on the flatter and simpler side for modern Marvel. This is not, again, I say sometimes, this is not a book you're going to buy for the art, but the art isn't pushing me away either. It's totally doing the fine job.
Yeah.
He does draw, Jim Toh here does draw Chase Stelton's facial scars a little goofier than Zagaria did, which that was the only thing that I noticed. Like, oh, his scars look different. That's what really made me notice was a different artist. Again, we don't need to go on very long here. This is a 5.5 out of 10 book. If you're a real Rogue fan, I'm sure you're collecting it already. If not, you don't need to. How about you, Ruben?
Yeah, I find it fairly boring, so I'm just going to give it a 5. And not like I hated it 5, but just I don't care about this.
Yeah, that was a comic book I read, kind of a 5.
Yeah.
I give it the extra half just because I like thinking about how a villain deals with her past and trying to make amends for that time. I think that's an okay idea. Now let's find that button. There it is. Moving on to our 4th and final book of the podcast. This is Wade Wilson, Deadpool, number 3, legacy number 353, Message in a Bottle. Written by Benjamin Barrel Olafs Percy, art by Jeff Shaw, colors by Alex Sinclair, letters by Joe Sabino. Now, this should be really quick as well. So there are 2 things you need to know before reading this issue. One is that Deadpool is sad and even more self-destructive than usual because something bad happened to his daughter Ellie in between the end of the previous series and the start of this one. We do learn a little bit more about that this issue. The other thing to know is that Wade Wilson has, since the middle of issue 1, been receiving notes floating to him out of the sky, telling him about bad stuff that will soon be happening. This allows Deadpool to run to the scene of the upcoming bad stuff, prevent at least some of that bad stuff from occurring, and then reaping fame and occasional fortune from doing so. And this kind of distracts him from the funk he's in. One more thing to know. Wade has sometimes now been working for Hammerhead, but has been pissing off Hammerhead, as would happen if you employ Wade Wilson. And now Hammerhead knows about those cryptic prophetic notes and wants to know where they come from, I guess because he thinks he can profit off of them.
Yeah.
So this issue starts with Deadpool preventing a mob hit that he learned about from one of those aforementioned cryptic prophetic notes. The scene starts out essentially, this is really a scene out of Godfather Part 2. On purpose, that is what Ben Percy wants us to think about. We got 2 gangsters in a rowboat in a lake in Central Park. One of these gangsters, Bruce, has failed his boss, Hammerhead. The other gangster, Blair, is there to kill Bruce for that failure. Bruce, and I guess this is a joke, Bruce blames his failure on sleep apnea. Like, just get yourself a CPAP machine, Bruce. It's fine. It's kind of annoying. You strap the thing to your face. You feel like you're more machine than man. But,
yes,
you sleep better and you do your job better and you don't get, executed in Central Park in a rowboat. Just do it. But, of course, Deadpool intervenes here. One weird thing, Deadpool calls Blair Is Blair supposed to be a woman? Blair is wearing your standard, suit and black tie, like a Reservoir Dogs gangster type person.
I mean, she doesn't object, so I'm going to say yes.
I guess
it's not very clear from the art.
I was going to say it's a man bun, but I guess it's a woman bun.
Yeah.
It just feels like I'm being unnecessarily confused here. Either make it a woman or don't. I don't care either way. But to have me go, wait, who, what? And then be taken out of the story to go back and say, oh, did I miss a thing? No, it's just confusing.
Yeah.
It's just weird. But whoever he or she is, Blair throws a knife through Blair's shooting hand. There's a bloody fight. Deadpool smacks Blair with an oar, brings everybody safely, more or less, to shore. On shore, though, Deadpool gets a call from Hammerhead, and then Deadpool gets shot by another one of Hammerhead's goons. This was all kind of a shenanigan, all a plan. Hammerhead had intercepted that note at the end of the last issue. We had seen that. So the goon here completes the execution of Bruce. Bruce thought he was saved, but goodbye, Bruce. Deadpool next wakes up all tied up and naked on a fishing boat, and boy, who hasn't been there? Hammerhead has a large fishing rod, not in a sexy way, and he's using bits of Deadpool as bait, which is a perfectly fine Deadpool bit. He can regenerate things, pull off chunks of them, use them as bait. That's fine.
Yeah.
Hammerhead's goal here is to have Wade tell him where those notes come from. Wade doesn't know, so this is not going to work out well for anybody. Hammerhead uses Deadpool bait to catch what appears to be a 20-foot-long great white shark off the coast of New York City, which seems unlikely. Also, Hammerhead's goon hauls the shark on board the boat. Like, this happens all the time. Hammerhead's always catching 20, 25-foot sharks here.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Oh, by the way, my wife was pointing this out because we were watching some terrible shark movie the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a Netflix original where I wish I remember the name of it. Basically, like somewhere in Florida, like gets hit with the Category 5 tsunami. No, it's not Sharknado. Oh, okay. It gets a tsunami and it like floods this town, and then the sharks are like in the streets.
So basically Sharknado, but not quite Sharknado. Okay.
Yeah.
Same level of movie making.
Yeah, it's very bad, but it was just ridiculous fun. So, anyways, in that movie, there's this scene where like the scientist that saves everybody had been like, he was like a shark aficionado, and he was like putting trackers on the great whites and seeing where they move.
Mm-hmm. And
they apparently are doing that in real life. And apparently this great white is like off the coast of Seattle now. And I was like, what the F? my cold water is not where I would expect to like run into great white sharks, but apparently they're in this area.
I think on Twitter, I follow a group that has tagged and keeps track of great white sharks off the East Coast, and they're off Cape Cod all the time.
Yeah, it's wild. So I was like, I did not expect them to be around here.
New York City, but you should not just be casually catching and hauling on board your little fishing boat a 25-foot great white. They're out there though. That's not completely unrealistic.
Yeah, that makes me unsettled.
Just think about that next time you go swimming.
Yes.
So we wind up here with Hammerhead trying to get this info from Deadpool. Deadpool not giving up the info because he doesn't know and isn't really curious about that kind of thing. And we really end with Hammerhead threatening to go after Deadpool's roommate, Blind Al, as played by Leslie Uggams in the movies.
Yeah.
We do also get a flashback to the Big Ellie mystery. We see that father and daughter mercenaries were doing a bit of mercenarying aboard a commercial jet. They were hired to steal a certain suitcase, but the whole plane is full of obvious other mercenaries. And this is really the best visual gag in the book, I think. Yeah. Every seat is filled with robots and goons and monsters and dudes from the future. It looks like the fighter select scene from like a Mortal Kombat style video game. Everybody there is clearly not a regular business traveler. Something's off.
Yep.
Ellie figures it out faster than her father since she's not a moron. Things go sideways. Deadpool gets stabbed by a baby. The baby's grandmother puts a gun to Ellie's head. We don't get to see the rest, but this is the job when something went bad and Ellie's not around anymore. Which, as I've said a bunch of times when I was with Jim on like the Marvel podcast, there's a difference between a mystery and just not telling us stuff.
Yeah.
And there's no mystery to what happened to Ellie. Ben Percy just doesn't want to tell us yet, which is annoying. So just either tell us or don't, but stop dragging us out. We've already seen 3 issues of this. Yeah. How can we be on issue 3 of a new series? And it already feels slow. It already feels kind of boring. It already feels very ordinary. So I had started off issue 1. I was relatively high on this. For issue 3, I'm down to about a 5.8 out of 10.
Yeah. I'm not a Deadpool fan. I'm not the target audience. And the only thing I cared about was like who's sending these messages. And, 3 issues in, this is not like that interesting of a trope anymore.
Which,
so
that could be an interesting mystery, because that is something nobody in the book knows.
Yeah.
We could be getting hints and clues about it, but we've gotten 0 hints or clues. No shadowy figures in the darkness talking about it like we got with 3K.
Right.
No, this might be connected to that. Nothing. It's just these notes appear. We don't know where they come from.
Yeah, that's probably why I don't care about it now that you describe it that way. Because it's like the only interesting detail which just never comes up.
Right.
So
the only person curious about it is Hammerhead. And the only way he tries to find out is by torturing Deadpool.
Yeah. So I'm pretty bored, disappointed, and I was never really a Deadpool fan, really, and this is not convincing me that I've been wrong. So just a 5, a bored 5.
And I guess we'll continue to do this at least through the end of the first arc, because we should at least say who's sending these notes.
Yeah.
And after that, maybe we drop it. Oh, yeah. Well. That was the final book we had to talk about today, so let's look ahead to next week. Well, it looks like the big book next week is Uncanny X-Men number 27. I really hope we find out why and how the Outliers wound up visiting the pages of Marvel graphic novel number 4. The solicit tells us that there will be a shocking sudden death. I'm going to say it's Waffles. Waffles, the Robo Dog. How about you, Ruben? Who do you think is going to be the sudden shocking death?
That's probably right. I don't think it's going to be the actual team.
You don't think Rogue is going to be dead forever? Just like Rogue and Logan in like back-to-back weeks, they're just dead forever.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
That would be shocking. She doesn't even get issue 5 of her miniseries. It's done. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it could be St. Junior's maybe, but I feel like they wouldn't do that.
The elder or the kid?
The elder.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We haven't really seen much about him. I guess we did see something about him telling the comic book story. So that could be the death flag that, we finally get to know him as a person and then he's dead.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out real soon.
Yep.
Also next week, we have Generation X23, number 3. I barely remember issue number 2. I know there's also these characters with numbers who have different powers who are pretending to still be an ongoing experiment. That's all I remember. So we'll see if issue 3 jogs my memory. We also have Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon number 3. We've been kind of enjoying that series, which is a prelude to the Armageddon event coming up. And people are talking like Armageddon, this Zdarsky event, could be a really big deal. Of course, they always say that this is really the one that's going to change the Marvel Universe forever going forward. It generally isn't, but who knows, Ruben? Maybe this time.
I think we're just all desperate for a decent event that seems meaningful. I think this one is promising to be decent because it's kind of grounded. It's not being portrayed, at least initially, as this like cosmic story where, that gives me hope that the ending is not just like a kumbaya Care Bear stare.
Right.
And
the core characters are fun. We have Logan, we have Captain America, we have, I forget the name of this other lady mutant who apparently is part of tracking down Wolverine and making him part of Weapon X to begin with. But now they're trying to find this one escaped mutant. And there is a little bit of a cosmic connection in that the escaped mutant was treated with a thing from the other universe, the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
So there is a cosmic connection, but it's been kind of downplayed so far. Looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited for that event just because the prelude has been a lot better than I've expected.
Mm-hmm. And well, I guess we'll see when it comes out who's going to be covering that. There has not been a whole lot of action other than the X-Men podcast on the Marvel feed. I know Jim has been talking about getting the regular Marvel podcast cranked back up again. Maybe that event will be the impetus to get that to happen. Or, hey, maybe you and I are going to be doing Armageddon. Who knows?
Yeah.
Also next week. Sorry, go ahead.
I said I don't mind doing that event because I'm excited about it.
Well, we don't know how many issues that's going to be yet. That could be a whole lot of stuff. Maybe
here's a question for you.
The main book, yeah.
Here's a question for you. How many claws is Wolverine going to have in that event?
I kind of like the idea of one fist has metal claws, one fist has bone claws. Visually, that seems kind of cool.
Yeah, it's just funny that Zdarsky hasn't put that in the prelude, and it's like supposedly right before.
He's the guy who cut off Batman's hand, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he has experience with somebody's hand not working out.
Yeah.
What else next week? Oh, there's the final issue of Planet She-Hulk. We might report in on that. There's also a one-shot next week called Jubilee: Deadly Reunion. It's under the Marvel Voices imprint, which is usually not a great sign for me. It is written by Gene Luen Yang, who has written some good stuff in the past.
Yeah,
New
he's good,
Superman
right?
over at DC. I enjoyed that.
He's writing a pretty good Ninja Turtles story at IDW right now. I'm enjoying that.
Cool. So a Gene Yang book I'll check out, even if it's got the Marvel Voices imprint. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a good Jubilee story.
The Shogo story.
Maybe a Shogo's triumphant return. That could be fun. Well, that is all we have to say this week, Ruben. I think we've rattled on long enough. What else do you think our amazing listeners can do while they wait for Logan to be dead, Rogue to be dead, and Shogo to return?
They could send me their tips on what to do at Disneyland.
You are all
in the meantime,
weirdos.
Read those X-Men comics.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Oh, Hercules, Hercules.